Hey, book friends. This is the short and tragic life of Robert Peace. And the sucky part about this book is like literally you start off with the title knowing this clearly Robert Peace dies young. I was in tears. Like every damn page, every chapter, every decision that he makes, you're like, is this it? Like, he about to go? Um, this book is written by an old friend of Robert Peace. I will tell you one part of the book I was kind of like, why? So the book talks about Robert Peace. He is brilliant. And he has a mother who is headstrong and independent, all for her. And they are from New Jersey, and they go from being in this like family home in this neighborhood that is mixed of like working class folks to the white flight of it all, and then it becomes no longer working class, it becomes virtually the hood. And then his dad, and I won't, it's like as the book went on, I don't even want to say his dad was falsely accused. I don't know. I don't think his trial was a fair trial. So that was that. So his dad spent the majority of his childhood in prison, and his mom decided that she didn't want to be married. She didn't want to be tied down. She wanted her independence. So they have this relationship, and he is growing up in the family home and seeing the dynamics of like people leaving and all this kind of stuff. But she works her ass off to keep him in the best of schools. And so he is in the best of schools. He is loving reading. He is ingesting information. He is just brilliant. And then it's funny, he wanted to go to one school, and like he applied to all these schools, and so he wanted to go to this one school, and that school basically the admissions information was late, blah blah blah, whatever, right? John Hopkins. And so you're like, damn, he was disappointed that he couldn't go to John Hopkins and had to settle for Princeton. Like, this is that kind of brilliant. And what this reminded me of is he goes to Princeton, and he's there and he's ingesting all this information, like doing the damn thing. But during this time, he gets caught up in like selling drugs, but not really like selling drugs because he just needed all the money or whatever. It was more because he wanted, I think, the challenge of it. And what I saw from this is like sometimes, and you may know this, like if you think back on your school and you think about like the smartest person, like the genius, and you're like, how the hell are they doing more? Are they doing better? It's because like sometimes in the cocoon of school, things are great. And once you leave that, like trying to find your purpose. And so sometimes when you look at like your whole school population, you're like, somebody is doing amazing that you didn't expect, and somebody who you thought was going to be just like, on top of the world wasn't. And he just kind of got lost. Like after graduation, there was no more school. He was smoking weed all the time. Like he just had no real direction. He went back to teach at this all boys school that he was in before. He was doing like all these things that just wasn't feeding into his greatness. And I feel like he was just truly lost, and he had this dream of being like this real estate tycoon. And eventually what I hate is that like his death was so like, if you just read the headline, you would be like, okay, typical. And it was like how these people who had admired his brilliance and he had helped and, smarter than, and all these people, they were just like, ugh, it was tragic. And I will say at the very end, I was kind of caught because he had these friends that he had been friends with from the very beginning, like from the hood and all this, and they had supported each other. And they were kind of a part of the community that led to his demise. And his mama was like, they can't come to the funeral, and I don't want a damn thing to do with them. And I'm like, teen mama-ish. But Robert Pierce was headstrong and made shit happen. So it's like, regardless if they would have been down for it or not, he probably would have found a way. And so I feel bad for them because they mourn their friend from a distance. But I also feel bad for his mama because she worked her ass like, baby, like she made some shit happen to make sure that he stayed in the best of schools. And he wasted that opportunity. And so I almost think about it when you think of like the space of like HBCUs versus PWIs, and like it's one thing to get an education, but it's another thing to like foster growth of the mind and make you think of possibilities and so forth, and create that network, because I really think that's probably what he needed. And I didn't even go to HBCU, but I'm just saying, like, I understand that part that was probably missing. So I would say pick it up. He talked a little bit, the author talked a little bit, and the author is a white man. Talked a little bit about like Cory Booker and like his impact in New Jersey, and kind of like this side-eye kind of tone. I was side-eyeing him, like, I don't know how I feel, or I don't know, I don't want to speak bad about him or whatever, but I almost was on the fence about how I felt about that part in the story. And then so y'all tell me what y'all think about that part in the story, because I was just like, I don't know. But this was a great book. This was a really good read. I would definitely recommend it. But I will say I'm always skeptical when someone else tells someone else's story, and do they own that story to tell? And especially like this one. Like, I kind of want to see like what his mama thinks about this story. But this was a good one.